Well, this has been quite a morning, and I get to preach here at the end to give a sermon on a Sunday when almost everyone's mind is elsewhere. Not just an ordinary Sunday when only a lot of people's minds are elsewhere. In response to our elder's announcement, I will make a personal comment or two. Cynthia is my friend. We have worked together since last October when she invited me to come down to her congregation, the Bering Drive Church of Christ in Houston, to do a workshop, which I did this past February. And since then, I've noticed that in almost every leading edge initiative among churches of Christ these days, Cynthia is always in the inner circle. I'm not, but she is. Back in April, I was invited to join a group called the Restoration Collective. It's an effort to draw together influencers in churches of Christ to discuss the most hopeful ways forward. It's a growing group, it's an evolving group, but its heart is maybe 12 founding members, and yes, Cynthia is one of them. But what sticks in my mind is Debbie's and my weekend at Bering Drive. What a good church that is. What a wonderful group of people they are. What a wonderful minister Cynthia is, and how deeply Cynthia and Cale are loved there. It's an extraordinary thing that she and Cale will leave all that behind and choose to come here to us. How extraordinary it is that she is trusting us and trusting the future here. It's a remarkable act of faith. It's a remarkable commitment. That said, Cynthia is not coming here because she is my friend. We would be friends whether she comes or not. Due diligence has been done here. She and others went through a rigorous process, which incidentally I would never have passed. And Cynthia emerged at the end as the candidate most open to us, most responsive, most pastoral, and most open to the heritage and vision of our church family. It took time even for me to be sure of all this. It was never a foregone conclusion. I stayed open to the leading of the Spirit to the very end. And as has been said, but I want to emphasize, Cynthia is not coming here because of gender. We are gender egalitarian, news alert. We have been for a quarter of a century, since 1998, and we'd worked on it for 10 years before then. That's all in the last millennium that this decision was made. So that means that gender in this church is not a deciding factor and should not be for any of us. The elders did not choose Cynthia because she is a woman, and I will pray that no one will resist Cynthia because she is a woman. That said, may take some time for some of us. May take some time for us to get used to it. And that's understandable. That's understandable. Here's the trick. Give her 10 minutes. That's it. Give her 10 minutes, and you will get it. And just remember that our leadership team, that is our elders and ministers moving forward, will be 2 women and 5 men. So Cynthia dares to trust herself to us, to believe that we truly are gender egalitarian. And this is one of the bravest things I have ever seen. I know us, and I know that we will prove worthy of her trust. Okay, so this is Father's Day. My salute to all you fathers as you make your way through changing times, past maybe some toxic forms of masculinity, toward grace and peace. It's your day, may you enjoy it. And I've lived too long to pontificate on parenting. The older you get, the less you have to say about it. And I will say that in our time, this I will say, that in our time, I see better and better fathering. I salute both of my sons for their skills in fathering. But many good fathers today are learning something about temperament, about not forcing things, about listening and seeking to understand. Many good fathers these days know something about the strength that's only found in weakness. Our text this morning was and is Matthew chapter 5, verses 1 to 12. The Beatitudes in Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, which start with the poor in spirit. It's such an important text. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And it's so important that I will only offer a preamble to it this morning, and I will draw out its truth more fully next week. But blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Only they will truly know heaven's reign on earth. And it's how Jesus' Sermon on the Mount begins. Now we, and I mean the historic church over the centuries, and we keep doing this over and over, have made Jesus' Sermon on the Mount into some kind of a mystery. Some kind of a mystery. It's the plainest teaching in the world. You need to go back and kind of look at it that way. No mystery involved. We have supposed that it's only for the super good, when it's really something much simpler. It's simply the only real way to live, and it's for everyone under every circumstance. That's Jesus' teaching. The text says of Jesus, first two verses of Matthew 5, says of Jesus, his disciples came to him, and this is what he used to teach them. Now, the tense of the verb is imperfect, and if your grammar lessons were as far back as mine, you may have to think about that a bit, but it suggests repeated, continuous, habitual action. Repeated, continuous, habitual action. This is what he used to teach them. This is what Jesus considered most important. This is what he taught them and what he kept teaching them over and over and over again. These words, these truths. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Blessed are the merciful. Blessed are the pure in heart, those who seek God with all their heart. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness. And that's what he used to teach them over and over and over again. These are the core values, the things that matter most to Jesus. These are also the ways of the emptied Christ. And he starts with the poor in spirit. And what I want us to see this morning and then next week are the possibilities here. What I've come to see, though it's taken much of my life to see, is that this way is the only way to flourishing life and perhaps one day the way to human survival. This is not for the super good, whoever they may be. It's simply the only real way to live. It's for everyone under every circumstance. So here's what Jesus used to teach and kept on teaching. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are those who are meek. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Blessed are the merciful. Blessed are the pure in heart. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness. Now we can try to live some other way, and we do. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Notice by now, it's never worked. It's not working now. And we know that from the headlines in our papers and in social media. Violence begets more violence, anger begets more anger. And we know this from all the needless trouble we get into in our own lives. You got to go back to what Jesus said. But notice that Jesus' teaching always starts with the poor in spirit. This is what he always used to teach the people, continuously. This kingdom, heaven's reign on earth, God's reign of love and trust, this revolution that Jesus comes launching begins with the poor in spirit, those who realize that, things aren't exactly in their control, who know that forcing things often makes things turn out poorly, those who put their trust in God over and over and over again, those who recognize their own limitations, those who realize that their perspectives are partial, and so listen with respect to others, those who do not claim a certitude that the facts do not support, those who know that they themselves are not angels, but rather flawed and complicated people capable of both great good and great evil, who seek to understand those with whom they disagree, who know that the good guys are not perfectly pure, and the bad guys are not absolutely evil. That the story in which we find ourselves here on earth is not a story with manifest evil on one side and indisputable good on the other. The future of the world, the survival of the world, depends most on such people. Here at the end of my thoughts for this morning, and back to our elders' announcement. Choosing Cynthia and Cynthia choosing us is anchored in these Beatitudes. It's all anchored in blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. It's anchored in the way of the emptied Christ. The call this morning in the time of quiet is to commit our lives, maybe to redirect our lives to this true poverty of spirit, to redemptive grief, to feeling the world's sadness, to meekness, to strength under control, to strength that's only found in weakness. It's all part of the way of the emptied Christ. We can and do try to live some other way, but it doesn't work. It's never worked. It's not working now. And we do know that from the headlines in our paper and on social media, and we know it from all the crazy, needless trouble we so often get into in our lives. It all begins with the poor in spirit.